Sharon's been out sick, that's why I'm doing everything last minute, but, so, but, you know, so we can put it out for you.
Well, that's good. But I read it every word.
Good. I'm being punished, we went on vacation 2 weeks ago. It's just me tonight, so we won't have the overheads.
Okay.
Dale's not here, and Sharon's not here.
Oh, wow.
But we will have everything on here. And if you guys need me to change screens, correct me a little bit because I'm trying to juggle it myself.
So who's taking minutes?
Sharon will be doing it from home. Yeah. Yeah.
That's her.
So I just found this yesterday. I printed it out. I printed it out yesterday, but I really want to put it today. But
So this is what they come up with the.
this is the Farmer Workforce Services. And here's the strategies for moderate income, A through K. You need to pick 3 of them.
A through K or A through X? A through K.
Or X, I'm sorry. So those are the strategies. So
We're looking at 3, not 5.
three of them, because we don't have a transportation hub.
Right.
So I believe it's 3. But the most that's going to come out for me today is basically say, why don't everybody pick 1 through their top, 1, 2, or 3, and come back next week with their top,
Their top pick.
top picks, and then we can focus on especially that as a starter.
Not them also here today.
You get a form? Oh, you mean that's,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But that's how I'm going to start it, basically say, yeah, we have strategies that have been given to us. We need to pick 3 of them. I'd like for you guys to look over it for the next 2 weeks and come back with your
Well, this is helpful because as I read the document, I just thought we were picking strategies on the air or what we developed. I didn't see A
So
through
we're
X.
5th
Until
class
just
now,
now.
right?
Yes.
5th class is means.
On the list that showed us is having to have the genetics report on the webpage, their webpage. I didn't print that part out. I just put that out because I wanted to focus on the strategies right now.
About 80-some,
10,000, whatever.
Oh, we are doesn't. So we actually might be in. We might actually be in class 4. I didn't know we had that thought.
Yeah, we're doing 4 or 5.
So see, that's what we do. We plan for.
We are required. We are in the list of cities we are required to do this.
That's today's. Right.
Yeah. So, I think it's that's everything, and that's everything that we need. And it may take me a little while to pull it up, but if you guys want something more than we could find it.
So I didn't. I didn't get to look at the minutes for the last 2. Did you get to?
I just barely saw them in the power while I was scanning.
We could table it if you guys would like.
That's what I would do. That might be difficult.
No, I have not had a chance. I got back in town a couple of days ago. I've been driving across the country. No issues, no problems, no breakdown, covered in miles and stuff. Everything went great.
I'm so bad.
Just a lot of traffic. I'm so tired. I'm like still trying to wake up.
Should we slap you around a little bit?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Might help.
I'm also glad to see that we have a quorum.
Okay.
I don't have a quorum. You guys
Didn't have a form of views?
Yeah, so it's just me tonight.
Really? I thought, are you gonna read the whole law, the whole?
That's what I,
Yeah,
yes,
we're pretty much.
I'm going to do a filibuster for you guys. An Ivins City filibuster.
Good. Yeah, I want you to read the whole House Bill 49460.
This is a summary of what we need to focus on. December 1st.
Thanks.
But
I'm sure everybody read it. Dave read it. You probably got it memorized. What's on page 102?
102, the number, page number 102.
therefore, whereas,
Yeah. So be it. All the above.
okay.
Gosh.
Are the microphones still off?
Yeah.
So turn them, if you could turn them back off, because we are being recorded right now. She already started it.
Said she can't get it.
What was sheriff's that we heard?
Carrie started it.
This is low key then.
Very much so.
So you can do a little to send notes.
Walk right past my house. Just don't drive past it.
Just decide whether if flags go up, that would be or easier to look at.
Tomorrow I'll know more. I pulled the original. It was going south and I was not happy with it, so I pulled up. We're supposed to meet tomorrow.
So we're not using screens in there.
No.
I'm not gonna ask if the people.
Fine with me.
If you need something on the screen, I can pull
You
it
got
up
it
here.
right. Good, good, good.
I'll know tomorrow.
I have one that has that solution.
Oh, there's no such thing as fast.
Is there?
No, I'll have to call you back.
Did you call the yellow one?
Okay.
Just
Can't be here. Okay, Doug.
Doug, good, how are you?
Okay, no, long time no see.
No, I've been trying to avoid planning commission. We do
So we,
most everything on here. But if you wanted to plug in, we're good.
I was gonna say,
Okay.
I'm just here to answer questions come up.
Okay.
That happens with them. It's only the same way as them and Dean start picking that up.
Hi, everyone. Haven't seen Derek for a while. Dave, Pam.
Lost man.
What's that? Well, Dell was gonna be here, so he said, you better go check just in case.
Just keep sitting on.
Somebody's final flat.
In other words, you expect crazy things happen.
Him not here.
I think we're just gonna get rid of that.
Well. Got everybody here, we can just vote, we can vote it some way.
Did you see Zach's email?
I might just have to call you, because I've got a hard appointment. Depends on when this gets out.
I know better way to find time to work. You don't think this is what you're trying to do. So this. You ready? Okay, welcome to tonight's regularly scheduled Ivins City Planning Commission meeting for June 14th, 2022. I don't know if we've got anybody online tonight with the way the situation is. I don't think so. So it's just everybody live? Okay, perfect. We have a full quorum tonight, which is great. We will start off with a flag salute and invocation, and it's my turn this week, so I will do that. Please rise. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our Father in heaven, we give great gratitude to Thee that we can meet together as a city body and work on the needs of our city here in Ivins, and that great guidance from Thy powers be with us as we go about these decisions. We say this in your name, Jesus Christ. Amen. All right. Disclosures. We'll start with Commissioner Guardiola.
No disclosures, no conflicts.
Commissioner Larson.
Just the same disclosure about Black Desert, the business partner that I'm associated with has a $1,000 deposit down there. It's
Okay.
refundable.
Commissioner Morris.
No conflict.
And Commissioner Clifford.
No. No conflicts.
And I have no conflicts tonight. So, no ports and presentations. We'll skip right to public hearing and action items. Looks like it's mostly all action items tonight. So 3A, discuss and consider approval of the Desert Cove final plat located approximately 200 North and Cavassa Drive. RT Martin, Utah LLC, and Terry Martin, owner, Ryan Burton, applicant.
Okay, so this is the final plat for Desert Cove subdivision. TRC is reviewed. It's a final plat, so we've looked at the construction drawings. We've looked at all the reporting that's required. This is located along Cavassa Drive between 100 and 200 North. It's a 28-lot subdivision on 10 acres, and the land use is high-density residential, and the zone is R12.5.
This one is high density then, okay.
Yeah. It is high density, but it's a medium density
Yeah,
use, even though it's,
Okay, I was gonna say.
That's her, yeah.
Okay.
Larger.
Any questions or comments?
Mr. Chair.
Yes,
Mr.
Commissioner Gardner.
Hickok, thank you. Would you say that the TRC has reviewed, what were the findings that they reviewed or the conclusions they came up to?
so this being a final plat, all the corrections that had been noted were corrected on preliminary. So after that, it was just getting the design drawings from the last approval and onto a plat. So the corrections were extending some of the roads and the pathways down from the north all the way through where the retention basin is, was probably the biggest one. But they've corrected that after the concept prior to preliminary.
Okay, so everything is in compliance then?
Yes.
Thank you.
So I'm assuming, I can't read that very well. Is that the retention basin on Cavassa? Is that how that is right there, the empty space?
Yes, that's not on this plat, but on the construction drawings, it was,
That is the retention basin?
yeah, that is
Okay.
the retention basin, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments?
So that's classified as a regional basin, so it's using, it's actually supporting it, some other subdivisions or another area?
Yes, it's a joint project, I believe, and it is not just for this project, but it's also the tributaries to the north.
Okay.
Okay.
Just a question on that. When do we look at the actual usage of those retention basins? Because, they become valuable assets, especially when we end up landscaping them, put grass in them, and basically kind of a park.
Yeah, then we have to maintain them.
Yeah.
I don't know, because that was kind of my curiosity with this one, because it didn't show it within the project. I was kind of curious myself
Yeah.
about.
I don't know how that gets pulled in, where it's a regional, or it's Chuck.
I'll just say that
Give
I think
your
they're-
name, Chuck, just so we know who's
Chuck
talking.
Gillette,
Thank you.
City Engineer and Public Works Director, the basin was shown in the preliminary plan, and I think that's where your body kind of gets your chance to kind of approve the site plan of what's going on the site.
Okay.
So really, This final plat application is kind of just making sure everything you feel meets kind of what that initial approval was of that preliminary plan.
Okay. So, based on that same theory, so is there gonna be, there obviously gonna be more subdivision above it, obviously, and so they will use this same retention basin and won't have to put one in the other project, is that basically what we're?
Yeah, that's right. We actually, part of our property deal with the property owner on this was we were gonna allow them to avoid putting in their own detention basins.
And do a joint, okay.
It was just part of the property deal.
And the city basically has to maintain those, is that correct, once the project's done?
Not always. Right now, our current policy is the city maintains any detention basin that is adjacent to a major collector or a minor or major arterial street. So if it's on a residential street or a minor collector street, then there's an HOA that maintains it and not the city.
Okay, okay, that makes sense.
So again, not trying to beat a dead horse here, but where do we actually see then what that HOA or the governing body are planning to do with that basin? Chuck?
Lance,
The question
I'm
was,
gonna blame that on Lance.
yeah.
Go ahead and finish
So
your.
so my question was, when do we see what that regional basin is going to be eventually used as? And, is it
Yeah,
gonna-
so the basin is not going to be really all that usable as any sort
Not
of
enough.
public facility. It will have some additional landscaping, which might add some open space. The trail kind of meanders kind of down the slope a little bit. We've kind of worked it out so that the trail kind of moves into the basin and back out of the basin, not all the way to the bottom of the basin. It kind of stays up on the side hill.
Yeah.
But like I said, at the preliminary plan, and I don't know if Mike, you can bring up the preliminary plan from that laptop. If that's useful, we can bring those preliminary.
He's a little
plans.
nervous about using it tonight, because he's
Does
all
it
on his
have
own.
connection to the S drive? If it doesn't have connection to the S drive, you may not be able to pull it up.
Well, any open space, just an editorial comment, any open space in the city is sacred, basically. We should be using it for whatever we can to provide opportunities for people to get out of their house.
Amenities.
Yeah, even though we consider this a regional detention basin, it's still kind of a small regional
Yeah,
basin.
it's not huge, yeah.
And it's when you get to the bigger regional basins like we have on 400 South and 400 West, where we can actually put soccer fields down there.
Right.
You know, that one is like 2 or 3 acres, whereas this one, actually that one I think is maybe even 4 acres. No,
It's a
well,
big
it's probably 2 or 3 acres. This one's 1 acre. And so your slope, you're spending so much real estate on just sloping down to the bottom of the basin. By the time you get to the bottom of the basin, you're 20, 30 feet wide, and plus, you know, you're dealing with sediments and stuff that can come into the basin. Also, part of our agreement with the developer was that they could use the basin to take care of low-impact development needs. That's where they're required to soak the water into the ground and eliminate discharges in minor storm events, and that would make it kind of hard for us to be able to use it for any sort of amenity other than just the open space that it provides. But I really would encourage you to look at those issues at the preliminary plan stage and provide that input at that stage. Those kind of
Okay,
questions.
thanks.
Thank you, Chuck. Any other?
Just one thing, I hear us talking about retention and detention. It's my understand that what you just described, Chuck, that would be to detain that water until it's absorbed into the ground. Can you clarify the difference between retention and detention?
Yeah, and it's just nomenclature. I mean, at least here, this is how we do the nomenclature. Retention, there's retention and detention. So detention just means you hold the water, you release the water. Retention kind of means you hold it forever, but you don't really hold it forever. It's soaking into the ground or it's evaporating.
Evaporation.
Yeah. So that's how we use the nomenclature of detention, retention. This one does both. So there's a retention component and there's a detention component. The detention component we use to to eliminate the flooding that can happen when you put a bunch of asphalt and concrete and roofs that don't absorb water into the ground, and it can cause peak flows to spike significantly in a big major storm event. And then the retention component isn't for flooding events. You know, when flooding events, you just don't want people to get hurt. You don't want their property to get damaged. But in the minor storm events, we're trying to take care of water quality. And so we're trying to achieve a zero discharge in 85% of all the storms. And so we calculate what that volume is required to prevent any sort of discharge in 85% of the storms. And then we try to soak that water into the ground.
Basically, my understanding is the difference is the level, the height of the out pipe going into the rest of the system is just high enough to leave whatever that cubic feet of water is in the basin.
Exactly, that's one way to do it. In this case, the way their design is done is they're running a network of underground pipes surrounded, packed with gravel. And so you'll never see the standing water that needs to soak into the ground if it works the way that it's supposed to work.
Septic tank.
Yeah, so if there is standing water in there, that's only water that's being detained and not retained.
Okay. That catch, that
Yeah.
opened it up for me a little more, I understand a little more on that one. Everybody else, anybody else? Okay, can I get a motion?
Oh, okay, Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the Desert Cove final plat located at 200 North Cavassa Drive.
I'll second.
I got a second so I have a motion to approve from Commissioner Clifford and a second from Commissioner Guardiola for approval of Desert Cove final plat located approximately 200 North Cavassa Drive, RT Martin, Utah LLC, and Terry Martin, owner, Ryan Bullen, applicant. Can I get a roll call vote on that? Commissioner Guardiola?
Aye.
Commissioner Larson?
Aye.
Commissioner Morris?
Aye.
Commissioner Clifford?
Aye.
And it's an aye for me. Okay. Moving on to 3B, discuss and consider the approval of Black Desert Resort Road Dedication Final Plat located at approximately 1500 East Black Desert Drive on, Weiskopf Way, NLaw LLC owners, Stephanie Nast applicant. So is this the one we had to postpone?
Yes.
Okay, so we know which one it is. All right.
So, Black Desert Road is off of the Snow Canyon Roundabout. This is a private road. And then Weiskopf Way has a future roundabout. Coming in, and both of these lead into both sides of the desert, Black Desert Hotel project. It's, like I said, it's a private road. We've addressed the easements that we need as a city and access. So, any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Clifford.
Now, this isn't all the roads in Black Desert, is it? I mean, this is not the entire roadway.
No.
It's just the first phase.
This is the access that we need for the hotel. For the hotel to proceed, we need
Okay.
access. So we're taking care of this portion of the road.
All right. So is there any map that shows how it connects to the other roads that will be used there?
I could pull up the roads master plan, and you could see.
So you can see where on that one there, you can see where the Snow Canyon roundabout
Yeah, I
is.
can see the Snow Canyon access.
And then further up is the other access.
Yeah, I was more concerned, I guess, the one going south, how it connects back into Santa Clara.
Oh, gotcha.
This is the other one. Well, yeah, again, I'm not sure how that
My curiosity too
links behind Padre Estates, I guess, doesn't it?
well,
No,
and that's
no, it
my
doesn't.
curiosity is because I don't think these wrap around there. And my curiosity is if these will be connected to any of that in that Padre States area, Padre Canyon.
Yeah. So if you can pull that, yeah, thanks.
So here's
Can you swap around
The
there,
Snow
Mike? We
Canyon.
can't see.
Okay. Actually, that doesn't show the detail that we need for this.
It does show that beginning of that road, though.
Yeah, but there is no connection through Padre Canyon right now. When we look at the Sitla project, there is connection through there, through the Black Desert and through the Sitla property and on into Padre Canyon area.
So, again, could you trace, I'm right in the glare zone, I'm afraid, with that yellow,
Yeah. So here's,
in that roundabout.
actually, that's not correct.
I think it's the other round.
Yeah, it's, see if the zoning map shows it better. Okay, so here's the western corridor here, and then you have the Black Desert roads. They're not labeled here, but here's where we're talking about this road here, connecting through. And I don't even know if that's updated completely or not, but we're talking Hotel Central, not up here where the golf village will be, and the Black Desert subdivision up here. So we're down here by the hotel.
Okay. It doesn't look like it goes up and connects for that other property, other than it will connect eventually with the parkway, which goes through the other subdivision.
Yes, yeah.
whatever
So the
it's gonna
Jacob Hamlin Road will connect into the Sitla area,
Okay.
and the Sitla area does connect into Padre Canyons.
Not that it
But
just-
these roads here, like I said, are in the Hotel Central area.
I apologize, because it's not a matter of whether that's gonna pass or not here. It was more so I was curious to see how that future was gonna lay
Yeah.
out there.
And maybe next time I could have a better map of all this that's totally connected, because I'm sure it's part of the conversation for the Sitla property also.
Civil property it is, yeah, there's a
Okay.
lot of conversation over that. Any other questions or comments on this one?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner
Mr.
Hill.
Haycock, just again, TRC review, what were the findings that we know are in alignment now, since it's ready for Mylar?
Pull up the staff report if you want to. I mean,
Yeah.
we have it on ours.
July 22nd was, or June 7th was the, okay.
Well, it's 3B on our
Right.
stuff.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Didn't say anything there.
Yeah, and even on that report, it just says that they
Yeah,
complied with
basically
it.
said they complied with the
Yeah.
utility requirements.
Yeah, so I wasn't there for that complete discussion on why it was taken off the agenda last week. I don't know, Chuck, do you know? I was,
Yeah, what do you,
Patrick, do you remember why we pulled it for a week?
what did,
Patrick Manning, applicant. We just forgot to notate, I believe, that it was they were private streets, and the city wanted to be sure that they weren't taking care of those streets on the budget.
Gotcha.
okay.
You know, and these are gonna be like four-way stops? Is that these intersections,
Oh, yes.
four-way stops?
And if you want me to explain where the road goes, I can do that too.
I think I kind of got an idea. I think we're good. Thanks, Patrick.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments on this one? Can I get a motion?
Chairman,
Yes.
I move that we approve Black Desert Resort Road dedication final plat located at approximately 1500 East Black Desert Drive and Weisskopf Way. In-law LLC owner, Stephanie Nast applicant.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Morris and a second by Commissioner Larson on the approval of the Black Desert Resort dedication final plat located approximately 1500 East Black Desert Drive at Weiskopf Way, NLaw LLC, owner Stephanie Nast, applicant. Can I get a roll call vote on that? Commissioner Guardiola?
Aye.
Commissioner Larson?
I,
Commissioner Morris?
Aye.
Commissioner Clifford?
Aye.
And it's an aye for me. Okay, moving on to the next one. We have 3C, discuss and consider approval of the final plat for Black Desert Resort Phase 1, located approximately 1500 East Snow Canyon Parkway, north of the Horse Roundabout, NLaw LLC owner Patrick Manning, applicant.
Okay, so this is Black Desert Hotel Central, final plat request. What this is doing is subdividing the condos. It's addresses ownership of areas, either common or who owns or has access to the areas, and gives easements for utilities and for city and public access. Staff has reviewed and recommends approval. So there is a total of 324 different lot lines, both vertically and horizontally, on this project. Any questions?
Yeah, Commissioner Clifford, your mic, watch.
Yeah, excuse me, my mic was off. Does the hatch indicate overnight rental designation? What's the hatch?
They're all identified separately, but as you scroll down, you can see the actual units identified, and a lot of the time delay was making sure that all these parcel numbers were correct and linked together. If you want to see the condos specifically, so you see these areas don't have property lines, so those are not condos. But as you come down,
And Commissioner Clifford, if you look up in the top left corner is the legend, kind of
Yeah.
gives you that breakdown.
yeah, and so those are the
Okay, I
condo
guess I need
units.
to Expand that.
Just a total curiosity, how tall is this? I mean, I know it's multiple stacked units as well, so how tall is this overall?
We're 35 feet, 30.
Right at its max, right at our max?
Because they're down
I
in,
don't have, if you would like to, yeah.
because you're
go
down in
ahead,
the
Patrick.
hole.
Yeah, the city has approved the elevations of this building. They, on the far east side, closest to Snow Canyon Parkway, we're at about 32 feet. And as we step back, it stays about 33, 34. And then on the very far west side, we have a restaurant stack that gets as high as about 47 feet
47.
for restaurant size.
And it's all kind of down in the hole.
That's
right
right. It's
there,
about,
so
it's about 19 feet below the average grade coming up Snow Canyon
zero.
Parkway, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. Any other questions or comments on this one? This looks very interesting. I'll be honest, I'm kind of excited to see this go, so I think it's going to be really cool for the area. If no other comments or questions, can I get a motion?
Chairman,
Yes.
I move that we approve the final plat for Black Desert Resort Phase 1, located approximately 1500 East Snow Canyon Parkway, north of the Horse Roundabout. Owner Patrick Manning.
I'll second.
All of our seconds have been ties.
Oh, did I? Sorry? I don't want a second then.
I have a motion to approve and a motion to approve from Commissioner Morris and a motion to second, or a second from Commissioner Clifford for approval of the final plat for Black Desert Resort Phase 1 located approximately 1500 East Snow Canyon Parkway, north of the Horse Roundabout, NLaw LLC owner, Patrick Manning, applicant. Can I get a roll call vote on that? Commissioner Guardiola?
Aye.
Commissioner Larson?
I,
Commissioner Morris?
Aye.
Commissioner Clifford?
Aye.
And it's an aye for me. Okay, here's kind of the bigger one. So 3D, can discuss moderate income housing. So we got this, this is the first time I've seen it was today. I've been out of town a little bit, so first time I got this was today. So kind of go over it with this mic a little and
So in starting our discussion of going through the general plan, with October looming, I thought we should start on the moderate income portion of the general plan. So the state is requiring us to come up with strategies to improve or allow more moderate income housing in Ivins City. So this is as per a state requirement that we add 3 of these strategies into our general plan. And that we not just show them in the plan, but also have a route to get there. And so this year, we're reporting the strategies. Next year, we will report how we did on accomplishing those strategies. So what was posted was the whole House bill on the agenda. I came across this yesterday, these 5 pages. And it simplifies the strategies and makes it a lot easier for you to look at. So we'll put this up for on the agenda on July 5th.
So yeah, so this lays it out so that we actually have actual suggestions of strategies to choose from, so we don't just have to, out of the blue, pick something and try to figure it out. So that's beneficial to us. Have you all seen this?
Yeah, I read as much of it as I could.
So if you go to page 2, at the bottom, it says strategies and then has A through X. So here,
Yeah.
through A through X.
So who did the summary on this?
That was through Workforce Services. I got that off their website.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know how much of this we want to discuss here or go into here. I'm okay with if there's some discussion wants to come up on it. I was given the suggestion to have each one of us read through this and pick 3 of the top strategies that we think would work well in this area, and then bring that back in 2 weeks for us to actually discuss those strategies and how we could implement them, see if we can come down to 3 out of the ones we picked. How do people feel about that?
Yeah.
Well,
Are any of these, have we achieved any of these already?
So these are new suggestions. Some of the downzoning may have been done already. We did, on the city council level, just approve some RM along State Road 91, or Highway 91, that may meet for this year, but these are goals starting July 1st that will be reported on in 2023.
But the work we did on the ADUs, that goes for this year.
That goes for this year, so we need 3 new strategies put into the general plan. And we could do more reduction to the ADU requirements, which in my opinion would suffice. So if you want to make it even easier for ADUs, I think that we can do that.
That'd be sweet. We could find one item that we could lighten up.
Yes, Commissioner Guardiola?
As we review these strategy options, are there criteria against which we should select our options? So criteria, and also, as Commissioner Morris was just saying, are there things that are already underway that we could augment?
Well, this is part of your general plan. This is the direction you want the city to go in the next 5 or 6 years until we redo the general plan again. So I think as we're looking at the general plan in whole, I think it's strategies that will accomplish the goals that we see are necessary in the general plan for the future growth. The general plan doesn't always agree with itself. Sometimes you talk about open space in one paragraph, the next paragraph talks about increasing densities and making it easier for moderate income housing. So it's a balance in our discussion over the next 6 months. But I think between now and October, I think coming up with 3 strategies and balancing it with the rest of the general plan at the same time is possible. So I don't think we should develop our general plan just off of these strategies, but there are some on there that are a little bit more complex than others that may make you more like a housing authority where you have to verify rents. And I don't know if that's the business we want to be in, where we want to go that far. In those type of strategies where other cities may be a little bit bigger and able to manage that type of reporting. So there's a lot of different avenues there, and I think there's some that are easy to obtain, and then there's others that would be a little bit more complex. And so with a city of our size, it'd be better to stay away from some of the more complex strategies there, in my opinion.
Something we'd end up having to put a whole nother people employed just to cover new bases would be problematic for a city of our size.
And some of them would affect your general fund also.
Yeah.
So if you waive an impact fee, then you would have to pay that out of general fund. And so now you're talking taxing rather than
Yeah.
Another strategy that may be just as effective, but without it.
Cost less.
Would cost us less, yes. Yeah. And a lot of that is on the planning level, how you zone things and how you plan things.
Yeah.
And where you allow the higher densities. And I think we've done a lot of the work on the land use plan already.
On the legwork for that.
Yeah.
But now we need to get the language to match.
Yep.
Is that okay with everybody? Is that if we go about it that way?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, let me
Commissioner Clifford?
ask a couple other questions on this as I read through it. Obviously, House Bill 462 is a broad-reaching bill that covers, all the communities, all the city, all the larger, small, and medium-sized communities. And so there's a lot of repetition in it, depending upon how you read your portion that you're interested in. I think this information that you gave to us on this sheet will help narrow this down a little bit. Is anyone on the staff, who's assigned on the staff of the city to help out with this?
I'll be doing the reporting, yes. So I think in my position, compared to what your guys' responsibilities are, I'd like to see your guys' direction because you guys are the residents here. You guys know the town. And so I have some suggestions. Me and Chuck have already talked about some of the infrastructure things, that kind of stuff. I'm here to guide and give my opinion, but
My concern is we're not starting from zero. I assume we've been working on, if not this, something like this for some time.
So Bob's spent a lot of time over the last few years working on the Affordable Housing Committee.
Right.
And putting the city in the right direction that has fulfilled previous year's requirements.
But
You're just seeing that.
That as a starting point, a leg up, I don't want to start from square one if we've already got some things to build on from
Yeah.
the past.
Yeah. And
It's
I'm
not like we're just
yeah.
thought about this last week or something.
I feel like we had met all the requirements, and now they've foisted more, they're foisting more requirements at us.
So what-
They're tightening the screws,
Sure. Well,
to have us do even more. As before, we were able just to say we were going to, now they want to see that we have. And that's really what I got out of my reading, which was after about 24 pages, my eyes started to gloss over.
Yeah.
But
I was going to
it's,
either send you sleeping pills or post that, one or the other.
Yeah. So
No need for
can we
sleeping.
start with a review of what you guys have been doing for on affordable housing the last couple of years?
Well, our Affordable Housing Committee disbanded after we reached the ADU success.
I
So-
think what he's saying though is do we
did you
have
guys
anything
cover?
written that you guys established
Yeah,
that could be looked at and reviewed?
Yeah, your collected memory would be a lot it'd be very beneficial for some of us who have not been through that process.
Okay. And
So,
I can bring out the objectives that we had established that we were working off.
Okay.
yeah, and that would be a great start, because I don't want to rediscover America and do the same thing you guys already did.
So for next week, we have a presentation from Bob Morris on affordable housing,
And some,
That's
and
the
documentation of what you
5th,
guys
right?
did.
the 5th of
5th
July.
of July.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you feel like we
You
need to
can send that
look,
out early too, if you want. What?
do you feel like we need to look at these still and do that, or do we need that after the fact? What is your opinion on that?
You need to look at these.
Well, I mean, we need to look
Yeah,
at it, but do we need to bring,
We have to come up with more. All of the, as I peruse through these, all the ones we had before presented, they're now asking for more.
okay, so then we should still do the same then. We should still all
Yes.
review this.
Sure.
Yeah, and come up with, each one of us come up with 3, and they all might be the same, we don't know, but, come up with 3, and then we can use that as a discussion point, and then have you, kind of get us that leg up on that.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah, what we're looking for is the low-hanging fruit, so that we can,
And I don't know exactly where the state is headed in the future, but that's exactly right. If you do the low-hanging fruit, because next year you have to do more. And the year after, they're gonna keep adding more and more until the problem's fixed. So we don't wanna
Probably.
over encumber, moderate income housing at the general and master plan of the whole city. So, yes, we want to take care of the situation, the best that we can, but those low-hanging fruits, the easy things, because we know next year, we're also gonna
they're gonna have more.
go through this again.
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
While I
Commissioner.
respect that the low-hanging fruit is always a good thing to do, you don't have to stretch as hard or fall on the fallen fruit. I would suggest that as we look at this, as you said earlier, does whatever fruit we select align with the general plan, wherever it might be on the tree? Just,
It is gonna align with the general plan because it is now the general plan.
What we do.
But the problem is that we don't have a
Whole.
choice. If this isn't in our general plan, it has to be.
It will be.
It has to be.
Yeah.
See,
3
that's
of
what the
these-
state is saying.
Yeah, if
That's,
you
that's
looked at
the
the
mandate we're
restrictions,
getting.
yeah, if you got that far into the restrictions, if you don't get something in that somebody likes, are pretty dire. So we don't want to be in a city in nonconformance at this point.
I think it is cheap to say low-hanging fruit. 3 things that will also match the general plan in whole is important too.
right, and but what I'm, what I'm saying, excuse me, it chokes me up just thinking about it, is that as we look at the general plan as a whole, we have land use, we have zoning, et cetera, but as we look at the general plan as a whole, might that have some other options that we would want to discuss? They may not be used, but the general plan has multiple elements, so just a thought as we review these.
Yeah, yes, these will need to fit in with the vision of the whole city by the time we're done. So it's needs to be a consistent occupancy that does have some hypocrisy to it. It has, hey, we want to keep open space, but we also need to have walkable communities, which may not always work together. Walkable communities may be a little bit taller buildings with commercial, but it may take away views at the same time. So there's some give and take that's in the general plan. So just by adopting these, we could have other goals too that keep Ivins with the vision that you guys have for your city.
So I think what both of you are what we're all saying is that as we choose these 3, as we go over this week, we should have the general plan as it exists now in back of our mind with the idea, front of our mind, with the idea that will this adapt to where we want to take that plan as we go forward?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Did I
Nice.
hit that? Okay.
But there's a lot of things in there that you
Yeah.
want to just take off the list because it would.
It's too
add
complex for our
staff-
city,
Add
yeah.
staff. It would affect the general fund, that
Right.
kind of stuff.
Yep,
And
understood.
we'll leave that for a later date when maybe the state says, okay, we need a little bit more, then
And let's be
We have to
honest,
go
this is
there.
never gonna end. This will be forever. We'll always be dealing with this, because it's always gonna change. Prices of housing is gonna go up and down, everything's always gonna change. So we'll be dealing with this till the end of time, but it'll always just be different in how we have to handle it and what we have to do, but it's,
Yeah, Mr.
it's not
Chair,
no way. Yes.
again, I would, just to follow up on that comment, I would, I would argue at this point in time, and Bob, you can probably fill us in on that too. I don't think there's a whole lot of low-hanging fruit, quite honestly. I think this particular challenge is gonna push some buttons within the community. It almost has to, because you're asking to do something that the people generally wouldn't do, and that is provide maybe housing that's not quite as profitable to builders and landowners and whatever. And I think we're gonna have to find some pretty innovative things to do that are gonna allow us to take property that maybe coulda, woulda, shoulda gone to something else and earmark it for this.
Yes, so you may have to make the decision in this that you may have to get moderate income housing in the next 5 years here. You may have to go to a height of a building that takes away views from people who've had them for a long time.
Yeah.
And those are hard places to go. But the state's saying that, hey, you need to put moderate income a little bit more on the forefront of your mind. And then in the next 5 years, we have to add a water element also. So they're giving us more and more requirements as a planning commission to either conserve water or to bring that level of income to your community.
Okay, any other comments on this?
Yeah, Mr.
Yes.
Chair, related to that, you gave us this entire document, and good firstborn that I am, I assume that you meant that we were to read the entire document. I now have a master's
Well,
degree. in
There are
this.
some repetition in there.
There is repetition.
Yes.
I skipped
For
over.
example, a whole section, we don't have a station, right?
Right.
So you
I
can
was-
skip the whole station.
I was really glad on that one.
I didn't want you guys to criticize me for not giving them enough information.
And I appreciate that because, and I don't know if we're prepared this evening to discuss some of the things, that was a no? All right, well, I'm happy to share my notes here with you. Because lines 617, 1054 through 1065, clearly about general plan, I mean, moderate income housing, 1694, I mean, the pages went on and on and on and on, as you well know. But the thought that occurred to me that I would like to ask the commission and you this evening, we were charged in January to review the general plan, all of it, and we've been dutifully looking at land use and zoning. We've clarified from the mayor that we are looking at the entire plan. I'm even having, as perhaps you are, some residents saying, okay, two things. When are we actively going to look at the rest of the plan? And how is the community going to have input into that? And so I'd like to propose that we begin some action on the rest of the general plan. I've been looking at some general plans of other communities, just trying to learn some things. And so I would like to request that at our next meeting, you bring us a schedule, a straw schedule of how we are going to play out reviewing the rest of the general plan. That's one thing. And secondly, a draft of what are the multi-level methodologies we're going to use to get input from the citizens. I'm learning, as perhaps some of you are, that not only the public hearings are valuable, but SurveyMonkey has been a very successful tool by some municipalities to reach out to some citizens who perhaps would never come to a public hearing. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing is, all right, we're looking at the general plan, and Mr. Chair, as you've just mentioned, the change things are never going to end. If we're going to be redefining who we are in light of what the legislature is requiring of us, is this a good time for us to look at other things that we may want in the general plan? Things such as sense of place, walkability among and between neighborhoods, crime prevention, immediate and future transportation options. I'm thinking of Springdale. Philip Bimstein was mayor there when the traffic into Zion had cars lined up all the way in and out of the park, and so that's when the shuttle started. What kinds of things are coming to our community that need to perhaps be put in the general plan to be on top of those things? I have a whole list. I won't bore you with all of them. But those three things, a straw schedule of how we're going to review the rest of the plan, a draft of how we're going to do outreach to the community, and research of best practices of other possible elements. And again, I'm happy to share this just as a place to start.
I would love if you'd email that to me so that I have a copy of what
I
you
will
did.
share it with all of you. I will not ask us to discuss these other things in yellow that relate to the 140 pages that broke my printer.
Okay.
Okay, I'll send that and send you a copy as well.
Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Moore.
and I do believe that we need to provide a place for our workers to live. I mean, I'm retired now, but last year I had employees and for them to find rentals and for them to have to pay $2,000 a month for that rental, that means they have to make more money, period. If you're gonna keep them in the area, that raises the cost of an electrician to come to your house. And so all of these things just drive up, and we do need to provide a guy that makes $25 an hour a place to live. It shouldn't take a mom out of the home and a guy with 2 jobs to pay rent. That just shouldn't be that way. We don't want that for our children. So, you know, I would like to see effective things.
Yeah, but the whole vision is you find a place where there's transportation for him to get to work, and he can afford the rent, he can get to work, and he has the amenities for his children to go to, and it's the whole big picture
kinda-
that we're
a little
looking
bigger
at.
And
So,
it has to be provided in our
so-
community, but we need to find where that is here.
yeah.
You know, that's what we need to, because at $5 a gallon, you're not gonna be able to live out in Enterprise.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the, everybody that I've talked to get to that point, it's usually done by subsidies.
Yeah, and as,
And that's in here.
as Commissioner Clifford talked about, the problem that really, in my opinion, exists is land costs, is what it comes down to. And how do you do that? We're gonna have to get extremely creative, as you said, to be able to figure this out, because we can't force people to sell their land cheaper. We can't force a builder to build cheaper. You know, those are out of our hands. So how do we handle this to be able to make it? I mean, it's a complex.
It's gonna be a discussion,
Yeah.
and it's not just land price, it's how tall you could go on your land,
And that too,
And
yeah,
that
how
goes
much can you
into-
build on that?
to the value.
Yeah.
So to get moderate income, you usually have to go vertical,
Yeah, because
because
of,
the land cost is your highest
yeah,
price.
when you've got this much land, you can get stacked a few more people, you can get the prices down. I mean,
And-
that's understandable.
And I think Ivins is a beautiful community that, because it isn't
Yeah.
as tall as some of the other communities, it has its own beauty that you want to maintain the best you can.
Yeah, you go out to Washington and I die out there every time I drive down that road and see all those 5-story condos out there. I'm like, oh, we cannot do that in Ivins. I don't know what we gotta do, but we gotta figure out a way to do this without those 5-story condos out there. I can't.
And those
that
aren't
just-
even modern
Yeah.
income housing there.
That's just crazy.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
this goes along, Mike, with what you were talking about, the bifurcation between what we say and what we do. And so as we're looking at the projections of the growth and the impact of those things, and then the general plan, what is realistic and informed as much as we can be on what is it that we treasure, and yet how do we ask different questions about how we maintain those things? And And that's what I'd like the community input on. Let's brainstorm ideas and see what the general plan looks like now as the last time it was done. Are there key things we need to add to that plan that we hadn't thought of before?
Yeah, I agree. It's gonna be a complex situation.
Yeah.
We got our work cut out for us on this one, so.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one. It's
The
never
only part
popular.
that has to be done by October is the moderate income portion of it.
Okay.
I expect this not
It's a huge
to last
part.
just 3 months. I expect this, especially with the amount of subdivisions and development we have in the time.
And the
frame
limited
we're in.
land we have
It's
left.
gonna be,
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be a land use issue. Yeah, you're gonna be back to trying to figure out zoning wise where you can put this stuff. I mean, I've been through this before. This is not something that the average member of your community is going to like,
Yeah.
because you're gonna push density, and that's what you have to do. I don't know another way, but,
But hopefully you could do it in corridors and you could do it
and you
in
have
the
to do it in
appropriate
corridors, you're right.
places.
But we have to accept that those are going to be somewhere within our community. Goes back possibly even to the annexation issue. Maybe there's some BLM property
I
over there that we can look at. I know
would really love to look at that.
something that the chairman would like to look at, so,
Yeah, I think that would be an option
This-
to look at.
in fact, I would be curious to know, you know, our first layer of really easy things to do was the accessory units and using the locked lots within Ivins that were landlocked behind other homes and structures. It'd be fun just to see, number-wise, how many of those have been actually done. And we've approved a bunch of them. I'm curious to see over the last 2 years, how many of these
Flag
small
lot kind of
flag
thing,
lots
yeah.
that we've been able to do, which is helping with the density, which is providing more housing. And that was kind of our plan, but it's one here, two here kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how
And,
much
and,
is done.
I don't think most of them are being used as a rental to low-income people.
No,
I
they're
think
not,
it
but,
is
but
more
that was
for
where we
family.
started.
I think most of the ones that are being built are for family or for,
Yeah,
not for rental purposes. I do get a lot of calls asking, hey, could I turn this into an apartment? And then we go through the process of, it's not an apartment, it's part of your single-family residence, but you can, take a certain amount and turn it into a rental.
Yeah, that was part of that.
With the appropriate parking. So I have that conversation a lot, but I wouldn't be able to give a number on how many of these are actually rented out. And that's when you know that the problem's been solved, is you change an ordinance and now you are actually renting it out. I don't know if there's a way other than through licensing to be able to track those.
but the tracking is something the state wants. I mean, they're gonna push us for numbers because the platitudes are kind of easy to do.
I could tell you how many are built because we are tracking that
And
on
it
our
would be nice just to
program.
get some
Just don't
idea.
know how many of them
'Cause
are
we
rentals
will have to
versus.
report this, the number-wise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions on that? We got an elephant, little bits at a time. Okay, moving on. Okay. So 3E, look, we're already to the end here. Discuss and consider approval of the Ivins City Planning Commission meeting minutes for May 17th, 2022 and May 31st, 2022. And we have been, I would like to move that forward again because most
You
of
just
the
got
minutes
it
were not
today.
available. We just barely got them, so we haven't had a chance to review them, if everybody's okay with that.
I've read 'em.
I would move that we table the consideration of approval of the minutes of May 17 and May 31 to the following meeting.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion to table the approval of the minutes for May 17th and May 31st, and I have a second. All in favor, just give a vote, please.
Aye.
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 And we can't get rid of one of them tonight, please?
We just barely, we haven't.
No, I mean, we had.
You could do the May 31st.
Can we just get the May 31st one done?
Did you
Because
read it, though?
I read it.
Okay, I read it.
I'm,
but-
I'm happy with it.
I've
It
not
was-
had a chance to
She
read
had,
it.
okay,
Yeah, it was there.
all right.
I
Just
have
table
not.
both.
Yeah.
Motion on the floor is for both, so.
Okay, motion on the floor, and we've got, without you, we have enough, so. I don't know
Nay.
which way you want.
Nay.
Nay, okay, you go nay, okay, and the rest of us are yay, so.
So now we're
there
gonna
you
have
go.
3 next time.
You
Okay.
read
Okay,
two
if
of
they'll
them.
let us do it all at once, that's fine.
Oh, yeah.
If we don't have to break them out.
Yep. Reports. Do I have any reports from the planning commission?
No.
Sweet. And I have no reports this week. Building and zoning, anything additional, Mike?
So I'm not exactly sure when I'll get a schedule out and on the general plan.
Okay.
But it will be on the agenda every time. But
For
we
until
will-
eternity?
We will develop a schedule through the next month or so.
Okay.
I'm just not exactly sure on when we're gonna get that done.
Okay.
But give me a little bit of time. Everybody who's been out this month, and we're doing a little bit of catch-up.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so-
Sharon's been she had to do a week conference, and she's been working hard to get things to where it is, and I'm glad you tabled those minutes for her to
Yeah. Get caught up.
get caught up, so.
So, Mr. Chair, just let me clarify. We will or we will not next time have a straw proposed schedule for doing the entire general plan?
I can't guarantee it'll be done by July 5th. Give me a little bit of time, and we'll start working on it.
Okay, if not that, by the next meeting, please.
Yes, we will have the general plan on the agenda every week. But yes, we do need a path, and I do need a little bit of time to get that put together.
Yeah, I am getting multiple comments from citizens saying, just let us know, how is this playing out? And so, and also in April, I had reviewed the general plan with some suggestions on what I thought needed to be reviewed, where there would need to be public hearings, et cetera. So anything I can do to help with that straw schedule, I'd be happy to.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Okay, is that it then? Okay, city attorney's not here. Chuck, do you have anything in his place?
No.
Okay, anything to put on future agendas besides what we just discussed? All right, number 5.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we got a
Ooh,
second.
another tie.
Yeah, another tie. I have a motion to adjourn in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Derek? Would you help me get that on this? You made that look so restrictive, too. I had to put it on the desk and nearly stand on it.
I may have to have another needle.
There are.
Oh, you done one. It turned out really good. I'm looking forward to it if I have to. So.
I had one done because of my own stupidity back when I was 30.
You had.
siblings, because you can rib them as they age.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, yeah, you did.
We drove down, I think, a week after you had the place, and the work on the bridges had been done, but they still have all the work ongoing on the kind of
Big one we had.
side of the road, and it wasn't as bad. I mean, there were still slowdowns, but it's nowhere near as bad. That's when Helen had me here, for a test for a green card. Yeah.
Maybe sometime next week, we're gonna,
Absolutely.
I don't know mine is because I used to auto pay, the level pay, so.
And we're coming.
Oh, yeah.
Coming.
You can tell exactly where it drops off, because we just started opening windows, and then I planted all those trees, I got all that nice shade now. It's like a park in there, so it just bonus. It really does. It does. We have to put the rock and try and see something fierce. I used to
I
travel
guess it's
around.
easier to import electricity than it is to import water.
Well, I would have to travel around and I would tear out all of Vince's older projects, because the easiest thing for them to do is put grass from, for eternity, so I'd be pulling all that out, rocking it, and people say, well, my bills went out. That's what happens. That's what happens.
And when I'm already at 600, I don't want to.
No. All right, I'll have Susan give it a call. Thank you.
Bobby, won't be next week.
Oh, we're all good.
Next week I'm at scout camp, the following week.
Oh, have fun. Haven't done that in a long time.
My wife's checking my mental state, but I'm still willing.
Don't read that, what you guys were talking about. The state needs to give us a set number of homes for the size of our community, and then we can find out how to get there. That's what we need to ask.
Well, I tell you, this one here is just more detailed.
You know, the screws going, eventually the screws go all the way where you're talking, and then it's gonna get close.
Yeah.
But as long as they make the quota based on the size of the community, not a one size fits all. So that's what, you know, we're getting this one size fits all mandate, and then we've got to cherry pick. You know, what can we actually do? What would actually work here for our side?
And if they really are gonna put the screws to it, well, then there's the school, you got school land, you've got BLM land.
Kind of
I'll tell you what, there will never
south
be a
central,
affordable housing
southeast.
That's correct. That's one of the problems. That is absolutely correct. And with the water shortage,
Depends where
you're
you're
just
at.
telling me he can only build 47 more homes?
You, I mean, there's some campgrounds, there's some resorts.
Well, 247.
Summertime, you probably.
The only one with affordable housing
But
is
it's worth looking at.
boxes. So, well, not allowed drivers.
Well, I'll tell you what, we might need to bring back the trailer park. I hate to say it, because they're
All through the Uintas, there's all kinds of places.
Not if they're managed and kept clean.
Flaming Gorge.
But you have to have somebody that's willing to feed the dog every once in a while. Because I take care of
But
it.
the ordinance.
We're really nice. Super nice. So,
105.
there is a need for that.
And like I said, the biggest thing that concerns me is the working state. You know, I mean, the guy,
Absolutely.
he's just got it, he's getting a good wage. Wages have gone up around here, you know, we're at a good wage level, but the rest of it, well, guys, wages haven't doubled.
So when I
They're
sold,
making $50 an hour.
my guys were doing 25 bucks an hour pushing mowers, and it was still tough.
Oh,
And it still works in restaurants.
yeah, they still,
get to
you
the
have
jobs,
to
you get
have
to the-
another setting, or your wife's working, and what kind of
They're in the
setup
process
is
of,
that?
hopefully they'll be done.
Yeah, that's the only way you can do it.
Isn't it? You know, and that really breaks my heart. I mean, that's something. That's one of the, I was once at a break, and it's going around the room, you know, what job your wife had. And it
Yeah,
got
we'll
to
see what
me,
happens
and
when I
said,
arrive.
you know,
Might
I
arrive
was
and
a little embarrassed.
I'm not even gonna do
My
anything,
wife
I'm
said,
going
"Stay
home."
home."
Right, we'll
And
see.
the two older guys in the group said, nah, that's a luxury money can't buy.
Actually, partly it
It
depends.
really,
If
another guy
a
told me,
contractor's available to do that.
any money your wife makes, just
One of the
save it,
things
because you'll be using it
to
for
stop
lawyer
it from
fees,
stuck
and
with
get your kids out.
These places where it's starting to rot and come down. If I can commit to fixing it, I'll stay and I'll start to change some of that stuff.
What are we doing here?
he'll fell them if they forget one. Instead of just taking down